Hi, everyone, and welcome to 664 Treating Trauma. I am Dr. Ginny Folk New. You're welcome to call me Ginny or Dr. Folk New, or some students call me Dr. New. Any one of those things are fine, whatever you're comfortable with. Um, I will be working with you for the next 14 weeks in this online course. So I wanted to give you an overview of the course and talk a few minutes about the importance of the course. And then I will go through what are the activities for weeks 1 and 2. So first of all, even though it's a 14-week course, the online course is set up in 7 2-week modules. And I'll show you them in just a moment. So forgive me for those of you that have taken courses in Canvas, especially with me. I set my courses up in the same way each time. For those of you who are new to this format, or even to taking an online course, please let me know if you have any issues. You try to have some trouble getting around. Try to set up the course in the easiest way possible so you have one-stop shopping. There'll be two places that you will come in the course. One is this is the home page. So it gives you an overview of the course. It shows you what the assignments are and the weights of each of the assignments. And then, oh, that doesn't need to be there. And then down here, these are all of the, again, the assignments, the discussions, and up here is a calendar. So you're able to look at the calendar to see what is due when. So for instance, this 26 is highlighted, and so it shows that the first journal is due at the end of week 2 on Sunday. Everything's due by 11:59 because the system won't allow us to put in midnight, okay? And just so that you know, I am generally okay if I don't like to see students up in the middle of the night working, but sometimes that's not avoidable. So if you turn something in after midnight, usually at least if you turn it in before, let's say 4 o'clock in the morning, please don't stay up to 4 o'clock in the morning working. But if you stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning and you turn something in, then I'm okay with that. I don't take off late points. So let me go through the course. So the second place, oh, there's 4 important places. Sorry, so sorry. So one is grades. This helps you to look at and follow along about what your grades are. It also gives you a chance to see the feedback that I give you. So if you go into the grades area and you click on an assignment that you've uploaded, once I've graded everything, you will be able to see the comments that I write on either on the paper or sometimes on the grading rubric. Okay, so that is important. Announcements are also important. Announcements, though, show up here at the top of the home page. Generally, only the most recent 3 show up. So you might need to go back to announcements to see previous announcements, okay? Then there are the modules. This is where all the action happens in the course. And then you also might want to connect with people. And so this is a place to get there. This is set up right now. You won't see this in your view. So if I go into student view, I'll show you what you see. This is what you see. Okay? I'm going to leave student view. It's just that I have more um, ability here. Well, no, we won't do that. You'll just see what I see. So here, that's instructor information. Here's information about your instructor, another course overview. This is where the syllabus is uploaded, the required textbooks, which I hope you already have. then the Widener University policies and school resources. Here are the assignments. So this is a description of the discussion, a description of journals, and then I've made a video for each one of the assignments explaining to it. So if you were in a classroom, you would have a professor who talked to you about an assignment that was due. And they would highlight for you what would be important about that assignment and maybe give you some tips based on previous assignments. So I've taught in social work since 2004, but I've been full-time since 2011. The courses that I teach, I've taught a lot. In fact, I'm teaching 3 sections of the trauma course in just this semester. So I get to see what students do, and sometimes some of the material or some of the assignment instructions might be a little more difficult to navigate than others. So I make you videos trying to highlight some of those things. I do that also in a weekly video. So each week, although you can read what is required for that week, I will give you some tips about what you're going to do in that week, and also make some important points about or what I think are important points about the content. So you might be wondering, so here, well, let's just look at these assignments. So there's 3 journals due in weeks. Actually, it's 2, 9, and 13. Week 8 is actually spring break, and I didn't want you to work on spring break. So I actually changed that to week 9. You will present a technique demonstration. I'll explain more about that. That is here in the video. So either in week 5 or 7 or 9 or 11. And then there is a final trauma summary explanation video assignment. So let me just say a few words about the trauma course. I started out, wasn't necessarily my intention to become interested in trauma, but I have my background is actually, my educational background is in nursing. Child and family was my specialty. So I'm very much in sync with social work because family systems were a lot of what we focused on. And when I have 2 degrees from Widener. I think I might tell you about that in my introduction video. But in between those 2 degrees, I went to Penn for my master's degree. And I had the good fortune of having a professor who was somebody who was an expert in working with trauma, typically multiple victims, generally children. So children that were abused in a daycare, children that were abused all on a bus, or something like that. And she was really quite brilliant and had some really wonderful techniques that she used for helping children to talk about their trauma. She was really amazing. She was awful as a teacher. She was so deadly boring. But the content of what she had to say was really amazing. And I kind of got interested in what that was all about. So I went through a sexual assault nurse examiner program that they had there. That was over the course of several weeks. In the end, you could become certified. I didn't choose to become certified. I am certified as a psychiatric mental health clinical nurse specialist. I'm certified in biofeedback, and I'm also working towards certification in neurofeedback, because we know that now that the brain actually is impacted by any number of experiences and injuries, and in particular, trauma changes our brain. We'll get to more about that later in the course, okay? So I joined this trauma group that this professor started, and all these people from the city of Philadelphia came once a month to this trauma group and talked about what they were doing. So in the early 90s, I was introduced to EMDR, which is now pretty popular in terms of therapy. But it wasn't then. It wasn't well known then. And I learned a lot about the treatment for trauma. When I worked on my practicum that year, I was working in a place where all of the therapists got to pick whoever they wanted from the list of clients who came in. And so the interns were left with whoever the therapist didn't want. So I ended up with working with people that were pretty traumatized, who had serious mental illness and other kinds of diagnoses that people thought they were really a hopeless cause about. And because I didn't know very much, but I'm a pretty, I mean, this is my tone of voice. Just remember this when you read my comments on your papers. This is my tone of voice. And so I had some people that they thought would stay for 3 or 4 weeks, or maybe not at all, actually stay for quite a long time, and then worked with the intern that started after me and stayed in therapy for a couple of years, which I thought was pretty impressive, considering that in the beginning, when they started in therapy with me, they needed to go outside and take smoke breaks, and sometimes we ended sessions early. But I will talk to you more about trauma therapy later. That might seem like that's kind of out of bounds for having clients, but it's more about giving people power and control in their therapy when they're struggling because they've lost power and control through their trauma experiences. Then when I went and I started working at a counseling center, I ended up, anybody who identified themselves with any kind of trauma, they ended up coming to talk to me. So I really had then a pretty good amount of experience. Not necessarily a lot of knowledge, though. It was over the years that I kept learning more and more and more about trauma and the impact, and then also the treatment, and things that I tried that sometimes other people didn't always try, that helped me learn more about how to work pretty effectively with people who have been traumatized. So that's the goal for you too, that you want to work with people in a way that you could kind of engage really with anyone, that you could help just about anyone in the way that you work with them because of how you engage with them. Not everybody will tell you that they've been traumatized. All right, so as I've gone on and on and on about this, I just want to let you know that I recognize that many of the students who were in the program and who now are also in this course have their own trauma history. And even just saying the word trauma can bring up images, thoughts, sensations, memories, things that maybe you've tried to avoid for a long time. And so it then becomes important. If that starts to generate for you memories that you've tried to avoid for a while, then you want to say to yourself, look, if I'm going to be an effective trauma therapist, I need to be able to listen to people telling me their stories. And if I'm having difficulty with educational material and I'm triggered by that, then I need to get to a therapist who's going to help me work through the trauma. The course won't help you work through the trauma. You might find out things, though, that would explain things that you've experienced. You might read about ways that we would approach trauma. Then you have some maybe higher expectations of a therapist. Not everybody that says that they're a trauma therapist are really good at what they do or actually help people. So for the rest of you who don't necessarily have a trauma experience, some of what you will hear some of what you will read might be pretty upsetting, because these are real stories about real people. And these things, and sometimes worse, happen to people. And those are the people that end up coming to our attention, because they're the ones that we try regular therapy with, typical kinds of things, and they don't get it. And they might get it for a day, and then they don't get it after that. They're the people that present the most challenges, because they're not effectively treated. And that's because their trauma hasn't been treated. Okay? So you want to take care of yourself in this course. And periodically I'll make videos for you where I dress in my yoga clothes or my running clothes, because I want to remind you that you must take care of yourself. And that's one of the reasons why the course is set up in 2-week modules. It offers you more time to do the reading. You have 2 weeks, over the course of 2 weeks, to do the reading, and more time to really engage with the material. So here we go, right? All right, let me go through the rest of the course, how it's set up, and then I'm going to go through weeks 1 and 2. So you'll see these are modules. On the modules, there are pages. Some of the pages give you, an overview of what's going to happen in these weeks. And then there's my weekly video. In this case, it'll be the course overview, which I'm making now. So there's no video there yet. Learning resources are all of the resources. I'll come back and show you these things. Videos, PowerPoints, reading assignments. This is a discussion. So all this discussions start with group discussion. You'll know that this is a discussion. For all of the discussions, the posts, your initial post is always due by Thursday at midnight, or a little bit after that, right? And then your reply or your response to your classmates, sometimes you have one response to make, sometimes there's no responses. But if you're making a response to somebody, your response needs to be made between Thursday and Sunday, not before Thursday. There's an announcement that I make, same tone of voice, keep that in mind, this is my tone of voice, that sets the expectations that I have for you in the course. That'll come up as an announcement, maybe even before Monday when the course opens, so that you can take a look at that. You're going to read it, and you are going to reply to it that you understand the expectations. Okay? Some of the expectations are also things that I promise to do for you. And then there might be assignments. So these would be, here's an assignment in week 2. So this is an overview, week 1 and 2, learning resources for 1 and 2, group discussion for 1, technique demonstration sign up 1, trauma type that you're going to select week 1, and then in week 2, you just need to write your journal. There's no discussion. So here's 3 and 4. You will, in weeks 3 and 4, you will sign up for the week that the type of technique that you're going to demonstrate. Everybody needs to do something a little bit different. Here's the discussion. So you can see they're all set up in the same way. My video, an overview, learning resources, the group discussion. You will upload your technique demonstration. Whoever is presenting in week 5 will also upload their written instructions here. This is where I grade it. This is where everybody sees what you do. And then here is a group discussion for week 6. So just the discussion. Okay, and the whole course is set up in the same way. Down here, there are some resources for you. Some of the most important resources have to do with formatting papers in APA. I think I might have a reputation for holding students accountable for that. So just know that I do expect you to use APA format, especially with citations and with references. Plagiarism, I think, is also super important to avoid. Okay, so let's look at week 1 and 2. Okay, overview. Just tells you background of what we're going to cover in week 1. Mostly introductions. We start some material about neurobiology, some of the manifestations or impacts of trauma, and here is a list of things that need to be done. And down here at the bottom, there is, down right here, there's a next button, which you can't see. It's not in the thing. Here it is right there. Here's where this video will be. You'll be able to just click on it. I can't emphasize enough, though, how important it is for you to watch the videos. I want to make sure that you understand the material, and I also want to make sure that you don't miss out on points that I make, especially, let's say you write a journal in week 2. Maybe in week 3, the week 3 and 4 video, I talk to you, the class, about the videos, or the journal, and give you some tips about maybe doing it a little bit differently. I'll do that individually as well. Okay, so first here is the reading that's assigned. You need to have these books. These are very important books, and they're very useful books. Here is a PowerPoint that gives an overview, a foundation for the elements of looking at trauma. And then there are, I think there's only 2 videos. There's both Dr. Perry, who wrote this book here, okay, Tina's World. Oh, I guess this is the 3rd video. So in the weeks where we don't have technique demonstrations, which are really self-care activities, relaxation activities, we provide for you a video about self-care. So this is Dr. Rick Hansen. He's a very smart guy. If you ever have a chance to see him present, he's great. So self-care is really important. I have something here that I use quite frequently, my glitter jar. Mix this up. And it's all sparkly and shiny, and I don't know. It's a relaxation thing, right? Okay. All right, so if you have questions, please ask me. So for instance, when the announcements are posted and you have a question about an announcement, you can reply to that announcement and ask me questions there. You can email me or message me in the inbox. Here's the inbox here in Canvas. I prefer that. I will lose your email in the thousands of emails that I have in the Woo mail. So if you could please stick to communicating with me in the inbox, I would really appreciate it. I try to be responsive. I will get back to you generally within 24 hours. If I'm ever doing something, there is a 4-day course that I'm taking in neurofeedback at some point. And but when I'm doing that, I will post an announcement and let you know that my ability to respond to emails will be during only certain points during the day. Okay? All right, so I'm looking forward to working with you in this course. And I will, oh, wait a minute. Yes, we did this. Okay, I was just thinking about something. Let me go back to modules again, just in case you're not used to moving around. You can use the next button or the module button. Oh, here. Here's the group discussion. I didn't go through these, and I should. So this is a video you're going to make using Screencast-O-Matic, and then you're going to upload your video into YouTube, and then post the YouTube link, because not everybody will be able to see Screencast-O-Matic, and please do not use anything other than a YouTube link. I can't see some of the, I know that you've used some other video tools, but I don't have access to those tools, and then I can't open it. It's private to you. There is a response that's due to one classmate. Here Thursday, week 1, is when your initial post is due. And here I've posted my introduction video for you. And I thought we'd do something fun, but only if you have time. No worries if you don't. You can reply to me. All you have to do is hit reply here. And then you can see a box comes up, and you type into that box, for those of you that are not used to being in a discussion forum like this. When you go to post your video, though, you will reply here, not to me. Reply here, and then your video will come up below mine. I don't know what happened there. Then I can post the reply. Okay? So let's just make sure we go through each one of these. The technique demonstration, you need to sign up for one of the weeks, 5, 7, 9, or 11. And then by Sunday of week 3, you need to sign up for the type of technique demonstration. You'll do that by replying to an announcement that I post. You'll look at, it's kind of first come, first served. So whoever signs up, you need to look at who signed up before you and make sure that you choose something different. Okay, you just have to click on this button, and it takes you to people, and there's 2 tabs in people. One is for technique demonstration sign up, just in case this doesn't work. And the other one is for a trauma type. So you'll sign up for a trauma type. This has to do with a final assignment that you have. You will be working in a triad, and you will be presenting an explanation of the impact of a particular kind of trauma. So domestic violence, or military, or community, or school violence, okay? Now, depending on the number of students in the course, there may be more or less choices. I've left all the choices open so you have choices, but if it turns out maybe one person signs up here and one person signs up here, then I will reach out to students and say, I need you guys to work together. Can you choose one of these to work on it? But generally there should be 3. And here is the sign up. Here are the instructions for the assignment, and just know that there's also a separate video. And then finally in week 1, this is week 2, your journal is due in week 2, and you're going to talk about the readings, videos, and PowerPoint, how it changed the view of yourself, your view of others, and then talk about how you might apply what you learned to working with a person. Well, maybe you're not working with a person. That's happened a lot in this course, and that's okay. Then each week there is a story in the Dr. Perry book. Well, it's Perry and Saltzwitz, actually. And so you can use that. So if, for instance, in week 1, you're reading Tina's story, and you could talk about, if I were to work with Tina, what I learned from the reading, meaning the Perry, Saltzwitz, van der Kolk, and Rothschild's books. You will this is what I would do. Okay? All right, that's it for this week. Here's the grading rubric for the journal. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I know this video is a little bit longer, but I wanted to make sure I covered several things. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.